And now with a CCW Sports Update, here's Monica Taffler.
Thank you, Larry. I am here at the Texas State High School Girls Wrestling Finals, where one athlete has been steadily making her way up the ranks and has been projected to become the next state champion. Let's meet Jessica Montez. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Monica.
Well, Jessica, you have made quite a splash here in the wake of President Biden's order allowing transgender girls the right to compete without discrimination. Congratulations!
Well, thank you. It's a new day for girls like me, that's for sure.
Speaking of girls like you, Jessica, you have been criticized by many people in the community, teens and adults alike, as not a real girl, but a boy taking advantage of the new rules to gain competitive advantage and to feed your ego.
Nothing more than professional jealousy, Monica.
Well, that may be. But last year, when you were a male wrestler calling yourself Jessie Montez, you were dead last on your team and were cut out from participating on that team this year due to low expectations.
Well, that coach made a big mistake. But either way, I am a girl, always have been. And this is where I belong now.
But you still have a boy's... well, you know...
I know what?
Oh, I mean, no offense, but it's protruding. You haven't got rid... Oh, let's change the subject.
Good idea.
Did you have anything you wanted to say to your most recent opponent, Fiona Jerkins?
Fiona, you were a fierce competitor and the best athlete I've ever met. It was an honor to square off against you, and you will be missed. Rest in peace, Fiona.
For CCW Sports, this is Monica Taffler. Back to you, Larry. Here at Counterculture-Wise Radio, we shamelessly plug our guests and all of their endeavors, no matter how shady. When it comes to advertisers, we're even less discerning. From Accidental to Flintwater Beer, we'll partner with anyone that pays us. But there are a few that even we have to say no to.
Worried about your investments, eh, little chum? Gold and silver or so, 1942. All the experts are saying that now is the time to invest in toilet paper. It's more valuable than greenbacks and can be used in the same way.
Hey everybody, I'm Fritzina Fluffybottom and I just got my ancestry report from 24andmore.com. It says that I am 50% Siamese, 50% Calico, 50% Balinese, 50% Persian, 36% Doberman, 25% Lithuanian, 16.5% floor mop, 12% tennis racket, 10% electric toaster, 8% egg noodle, 6.5% doorknob, 5% scotch tape, 2 3/4% pickle relish, 1 1,024% Jeep Cherokee.
Hey, come on down to Philly Bob's Mercantile and get your lifetime supply of instant water. All you gotta do is open the lid and...
Hey guys, you know what turns us girls on more than anything else in the world? Musky, salty, ripe man sweat. Get your partner the latest fragrance from the makers of Rue Parfum. Oscar Pedrerenta presents Man Sweat.
Introducing Nargle's Mosquito Food! Just a 1 tablespoon dash per day in a gallon of ordinary tap water will get you your very own mosquito farm in only 1 short month. Be the envy of all your neighbors with the help of this exclusive product from Nargles.
Oh, now nothing says summer cooking like tater tots and stadium wieners. They rise when you roast them. Now our all-meat dogs are absolutely guaranteed dog-free. The nutritious formula includes...
This is PA resident Joe Biden for Mental Health Awareness Month.
16% Shetland pony, 12% Irish wolfhound, 11% spotted owl, 8% naked mole rat, 6%...
Welcome to Counterculture-Wise, a Stormcap production. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on counterculturewise.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media, where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're listening live, be sure to join our chat on Spreaker. If you're listening dead, please stop voting Democrat, but enjoy the show anyway. Hello, and welcome to another lovely Sunday here in fabulous Texas, where it's hot and buggy and we are muggy, but by golly, we are here. Welcome to Counterculture Wise Radio. I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope, and here in the studio with me, sitting directly in front of me, shining in the light of the night light, his bald pate taking over the entire half of the room. Bald as a pickle. Kind of the same shape as a pickle.
And just as sour.
Every bit as sour. Is my co-host, happens to be my husband, also my best friend, and my sweet baboo, Mr. James Monis.
What the dill?
Really? That's the best you had?
No, I'll do another one. What did baby corn say to mommy corn?
What did baby corn say to mommy corn?
Where's the popcorn?
That one's actually kind of cute.
That kind of cute.
I'll give you that one.
I just wasn't expecting, the sun shining off my head jokes yet. Just getting used to this thing. Anyway.
This thing being your head?
Yes, the thing being my head. I have a bit of trivia for you.
I will hear a bit of trivia.
Okay, I know you're a big fan of the Inspector Clouseau movies, the Pink Panther movies.
Yes.
Now, who other than Steve Martin or Peter Sellers or that Italian guy played?
That Italian guy. Good
Benini.
old what's his name?
Roberto Benini also played him.
Good old what's his name?
Who else played Inspector Clouseau?
I don't know.
Alan Arkin. He's not very well known, but he was in a movie. They wanted to do, the producers of the first two Inspector Clouseau films wanted to do another one, but Peter Sellers didn't want, and Blake Edwards didn't want to have anything to do with each other, so
I'm terrible with names.
They turned down, and then Alan Arkin took over.
I don't have the foggiest notion who Alan Arkin is.
Well, anyway, it wouldn't matter. He's dead now.
Aww.
What
else was he in?
He was in Catch-22.
Nope.
He was in. Let me look at the list here. He's in quite a few of them.
Yeah, you'd have to name one that I've actually seen.
Well, that may take some doing. Let's see. Little Miss Sunshine, Argo.
That was a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
That was a good movie, though. I liked that movie.
The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming.
Never saw it.
Blood Diamond, The Departed. Anyway. So it was
in something with Michael Douglas.
Yeah, it was in the Kaminsky Method, which I'd never heard of before. Oh yeah, Glengarry Glen Ross. I think we watched that together.
I don't recall.
Oh.
What was it about?
We'll have to watch it because it also has Jack Lemmon and Alec Baldwin and a bunch of really great actors at the top of their game. But
really great actors. Damn.
He's an actor first and a murderer second, okay? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he was a really respected actor, and he passed on. I was going to talk, initially I was not going to talk about dead celebrities. I was going to talk about the death of affirmative action, but I guess Chuck's taking that up later in the show.
Yeah, so. Chuck beat us. He scooped us on a lot.
Well,
I was having lunch with him the other day, and he actually shook my hand, and a tear came down his face, and he said, "I enjoy doing this, but please, please, please don't ever make me do a Fritz. Don't ever let Fritzy
write it.
Don't let Fritzy write it ever again." So yeah, she's no longer allowed to write copy for him because he sobbed for days over that. It was insane.
She meant well.
Well, I know.
We should get him another cat.
I'll have to ask him if he's ready for that.
I've been trying to give him a dog, but he doesn't want it.
Well, dog likes to wander off. And speaking of wandering off,
oh God, I watched this. This is hilarious.
I haven't watched it yet. I can't. I'm not sure I can.
So, I mean, anybody who's even semi-professional knows you're sitting at a table with a personality, even if it's on radio, and you go to a commercial break. So you end the interview, and you even the Muppets know that you nod and bobble until they release you. But no, not Biden. He's just like, "Thanks, that was fun," and then gets up and wanders off stage. I kept expecting, because they did a close shot of her while she's reading the exit information.
Yeah.
I kept expecting him to wander back the other way behind her. So.
Yeah, it must be embarrassing for her working for MSNBC and tossing him a bunch of softball questions and still having it end like that.
Well, and he can't even answer the softball questions. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's literally.
And folks, just because I said I didn't watch it doesn't mean I wasn't aware of what happened. Okay, let's just leave it at that.
I didn't catch what you said. It's humiliating having. Why are we pretending that this man is president?
Because we can't pretend that Joe Blow, who put all the money into it and has his hand up his puppet's butt,
this man is barely in charge of his own faculties. He's not in charge of the country.
I don't know.
Why are we pretending?
It was comic relief for the first 6 months, and then Afghanistan happened, and that was the end of it for me.
And now Ukraine, and I mean, we're on the verge of nuclear war, and things are getting worse by the day, and people are still out there believing that he created jobs. You shut down the world for 2 years. Those are not jobs that he created.
Those are jobs that came back after the panic started to recede. That's all.
And
nothing more, nothing less.
A lot of these jobs came back with lower pay.
Yeah.
Lower pay.
Yep.
Mine included.
Mm-hmm. We know that firsthand.
And yet everything costs more. Everything. And I'm supposed to be gaslighted into believing that, he's the one in charge and he knows what he's doing. He doesn't know.
Anyway, jokes about this guy are ripe for the picking, and it got to the point where it was just almost too easy.
Well, because he is. It's not even funny anymore.
The camera's still rolling. Biden got out of his chair, shook hands with host Nicole Wallace, and awkwardly walked away,
stumbled away
after she thanked the 80-year-old president for granting her a rare interview.
Not that rare.
Don't go anywhere, she said, as Biden made his exit, walking directly behind her.
Walks behind her.
Oh, good God.
Well, my favorite is that he keeps saying stupid stuff and then saying, "Oh, I'll get in trouble." If you are the president of the greatest nation on the planet, leader of the free world, who are you getting in trouble with?
His handlers, who aren't doing an extremely good job, by the way. Every single one of them needs to be canned.
No. Meanwhile, they're talking about packing the court because they're not getting their way.
Well, that's another reason to vote Republican in the next election, although I don't necessarily recommend voting Republican. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. It's not going to be for Biden, so whatever.
All right. Well, apparently Dylan Mulvaney has gone on record saying that he's upset that Anheuser-Busch didn't support him through all of this nonsense. And, I don't think this is about Dylan And I have no hate for the guy.
I admire
He sees an
Dylan.
opportunity. He jumps on it. He made himself a fortune. It was, and still is, the way that Anheuser-Busch is treating their customers, basically telling us we're stupid idiots and they know best.
And now
so
every
apparently
time
Dylan posted on his wherever he does TikTok or whatever, how upset he was and how bullied he's
Instagram.
been and wham, on and on and on. And he's got a new face. He dyed his hair blonde. He's pushing his little man boobies together to make it look almost
not the least
as if,
masculine person I've ever seen.
yeah. I mean, he's trying. He's still weird looking though. He looks like he reminds me of that Momo puppet, that clay scary looking puppet. Because he's just not natural looking.
Yeah.
He's just weird looking. Anyways, he tries hard. So I'll just go ahead and read this. I'll go ahead and read this in a font that I can actually see. Anheuser-Busch is fired back at Dylan Mulvaney's claims. They're going to keep saying she. This is a man. He has all of his...
I wouldn't really worry
He has
about
all
it.
his
Just whatever,
naughty bits.
Just use whatever gender you feel
Yeah,
like.
well, he's a man, and I'm not going to play the little stupid game. So after he was left high and dry in the aftermath of its disastrous campaign with the transgender influencer. He's not trans. He hasn't even done anything. The beer maker, which has taken a $20 billion hit since its partnership with Mulvaney sparked a nationwide boycott, responded to the allegations Thursday after the influencer posted a lengthy video blasting the company for doing nothing to help him as he faced online torment. And see, that's the thing. Folks, don't go after the kid, all right? He's just cashing it in. He's just making bank. It's these companies that are using him and folks like him that you need to go after. So don't threaten or torment him. He's just making money. He's no dummy. The brewing giant said it is committed to the programs and partnerships we have forged over decades with organizations across a number of communities, including those in the LMNOP Rainbow Mafia community. And of course, the statement did not mention Mulvaney by name.
Of course not.
I'm actually almost as insulted by that as I was by the original ad idea.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're gonna do this, stand by your man. I mean, come on. So we all know what happened. He posted a video on his Instagram. He, first of all, isn't a beer drinker, doesn't know anything about sports, and they're celebrating his 1 year of girlhood, which is insulting. But now they're saying, oh, I've been ruthlessly dragged through the mud, and poor me, and wham. Yeah, he says from his mansion where, he's doing just fine. For a company to hire a trans person and not publicly stand by them is worse than not hiring a trans person at all. You know what? I agree.
I
do.
That's legit.
I think Anheuser-Busch has been despicable all the way around.
And now they're being
possible
wishy-washy
way.
on top of it.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because there's some good news coming up in a moment here with this
all right.
article.
The privacy and safety of our employees and our partners is always our top priority. As we move forward, we will focus on what we do best, brewing great beer. This can't be the same company.
No.
For everyone and earning our place in moments that matter to our consumers.
This is my favorite part. Well, no, not my favorite. Almost there. Almost there. Almost there.
Did the princess? Okay. Anheuser-Busch statement comes 2 days after it denied firing Alyssa Heinerscheid. Is that Heinerscheid?
Dumb.
Heinerscheid? The marketing executive behind Bud Light's
Heineken.
campaign featuring Mulvaney. Bud Light's numbers are at their lowest point since the controversy broke, with sales for the week down 28.5% from a year ago.
This is, by the way, Independence Day weekend, 4th of July weekend. Dude.
I hope it keeps going down.
They are screwed.
Yeah. Bud Light was also dethroned as America's top-selling beer, with the brand losing its spot to Modelo.
Modelo, senors.
Better beer, though, after
it is better. It's a
skyrocketed
lot
past
better.
the brand's $297 million in sales after 22 years as the nation's lead
Modelo
beer. Well, okay,
is...
so neither one of them are actually domestic beers, but at least Modelo's closer to us than...
Yeah. I mean, Budweiser's parent company is in Germany,
Yeah.
and I mean...
And we know how
I don't-
often the Germans get
I
things
don't
right.
I don't care. I mean, we're sipping all day, well, not all day, but we've been sipping on Keystone Light, which is made by their competitor Molson Coors.
Yeah.
So, stick it, Anheuser.
Yeah.
Stick it in your Heiser.
And we're not really beer drinkers either. It's just, it's 4th of July.
Anyway. It gets stupider, but anyway.
Wow. So it had spent 22 years as the nation's leading beer. Way to cuck it up there, guys. CEO Brendan Whitworth would not address whether the company would ever partner with Mulvaney again, and asked on CBS Morning, was it brutal? Just to be clear, it was a gift and it was one can.
Okay.
How do you print a single can? Is that even a thing?
Apparently it's true.
And the picture on the can is every bit as scary as he is in real life. That is a really scary looking picture. Oh, good Lord. They're really going for this angle? The U.S. Marine veteran said the company is committed to supporting the LMNOP community despite the backlash following Mulvaney's campaign. Anheuser-Busch's 65,000 employees have also felt the blunt force of the backlash, and that is unfortunate.
They're the ones I feel badly for because they had nothing to do with this stupid decision.
With many being ridiculed and harassed, well, I don't think people are that dumb, but this is a lefty rag, so don't go after the individuals.
Actually, the New York Post is a righty rag. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They are very pro-Trump.
They're always like, oh, I got bullied online. I get death threats on a daily basis. Get over it. I even got called a trans woman today on Twitter. Apparently, my profile picture makes me look like a man. So that's something that I've never... Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay. Literally never been called a man before.
So this is hilarious.
But isn't it funny how we're supposed to be all accepting of everything, and then they turn around and use gay and trans as an insult? It's like they don't believe...
Well, they don't want to accept cis whites,
they don't
it's
believe
in
don't call me cis, that's rude. That's like calling, caffeinated coffee or alcoholic beer.
I understand.
Okay, so poor widow Mulvaney says he's received more bullying and transphobia than I ever could have imagined since he posted the promotional video to social media on April 1st. See, everybody thought it was a joke because it was on April 1st. Yeah. Like, literally everybody thought it was a joke. That was
the dumbest part of it.
Yeah. I've been scared to leave my house, he said. Well, then how come he's all over the place? You see him everywhere.
This is my second favorite part of it.
In an effort to save face value and drive Bud Light's numbers up, the brand is releasing a special July 4th offer to its consumers.
All 5 of them.
The brand said it'd be giving away beer over the holiday with a $15 rebate on purchases of up to $15.
So they're giving away their beer and nobody wants it.
And nobody still wants it.
I mean, okay, some people don't give a rat's.
But there are some people who aren't paying attention. And, I say we mock them. Have fun drinking your queer beer. I mean, enough is enough already.
Yeah. So...
We need to stop being wimps and start really hitting these people where they feel it. We've been go along to get along for too long, and now they're literally marching in the streets, singing, "We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children." They're literally doing that.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to just sit back and be like, okay.
Then lefties are making fun of us because we're saying, hey, they say they're coming for our children, and they think we're all paranoid. I don't
And then they come for our children. I mean, all of the slippery slope things that we got made fun of for in the 80s, they've surpassed it. They've surpassed it.
Yeah.
We're like, well, what are you going to do next? Marry your dog, come after children? Yes!
Yeah.
Yes, they are!
Yep.
They're literally doing that.
Yep.
Speaking of spazzing out, wherever you're listening, wherever, whenever, however you're listening, drop everything.
Ouch.
And hit like, hit share, subscribe. Come find us on all the social medias. Let folks know about us. And, hey, kick us $1 or $2. Buy our crap. We just had one of our designs taken down. I guess Lord of the Rings was chasing after me for an original drawing that I drew. And everybody else can post it, but they don't like me. So they took down that design, but I've got it elsewhere. So I'll put special links up to the stuff that we get removed.
By the way, this wasn't on the list of things to discuss, but while we were getting ready for the show in the last hour, I stumbled on the official website for the Texas Nationalist Movement who want to go text it. So
I get their emails.
I want to look into this and possibly invite somebody involved with it to be a guest on our show.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I get their
I'll
emails
look
all the
into
time.
it more later. I'm live after all. I'm on a show. I'm not going to go sit and read in some website while I'm supposed to be talking. So she says something, I say, "What?" I do that all day at home.
Yeah.
Don't need to be doing it in the studio.
I even came in this afternoon, and because I know him so well, I said, "Can you hear me?" He said, "What?"
It was more like, "Yes, I can hear you," or something along that. It was a defensive move. Basically, it was, "Can I hear you what?" Or I don't remember.
He was in such rare form this morning that I actually held his face between my hands, and I wanted to squeeze him like a giant pimple, but he finally calmed
Oh, come
down.
on now. We don't need to talk this
I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'm telling
domestic
you.
violence on this
There's gonna
show.
be pus coming out your ears by the time I'm done with you. It's just like, what can I do in this moment? I'm just going to hold your head.
What did you do? In this moment,
Oh, my.
I'm standing there with snot running down your nose.
You are an ugly crier, I will give you that.
Yeah, whatever.
Counterculture Wise is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
Hey, that's us.
That is us.
Well, let's hear what little Marco has to say.
Most of the Senate's public hearings on UFOs over the last 2 years have been pretty boring events full of terrestrial explanations for the many unidentified aerial phenomena that military aircraft have clocked over U.S. airspace in recent decades. But Marco Rubio claims there's more information out there. In the wake of the explosive allegation earlier this month from intelligence whistleblower David Grush, who claimed that Congress is not being shown the full evidence of UFO technology, including crashed alien spacecraft, Rubio told News Nation that there are others in the intelligence community who have come forward with first-hand accounts of UFO hardware. Rubio, a longtime advocate for transparency on the alien issue, claims there are several more intelligence whistleblowers with high clearances who have shared similar allegations with the Senate Intelligence Committee.
I don't buy any of this.
I do.
There's too many cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And it is literally impossible for all of these spacecraft to be zipping around all over the place and smacking into us all over the place, and it always lands someplace where the government can get there first. I don't buy it. I just don't.
Okay. We're trying to gather as much of that information as we can, Rubio said, and frankly, a lot of them are very fearful of their jobs, fearful of harm coming to them. Grush, who worked on the intelligence team investigating UFO sightings prior to his resignation, has claimed that other members of the research unit have seen the evidence, whereas he has not. So Rubio's comment claiming there are others out there who have seen the UFO technology firsthand is a step toward corroboration. At least for alien optimists, it suggests that Grush isn't totally making it up. What I think we owe is just a mature, understanding, listening and trying to pull all these pieces together and just sort of intake the information without any prejudgment or jumping to any conclusions, Rubio said. Meanwhile, the public waits for an intelligence official who has actually seen one of these things to come forward.
Well,
So it's all a bunch of yammer.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of he said, she said.
Let me put it this way. I believe it's possible. However, if they're that far advanced, what in the hell would they want from us?
Well, and
Why
if
would
they're
they?
that
Why
far
would they do
advanced,
anything?
Why are they always crashing?
Yeah, well, there's that too.
So you're telling me that you can come great distances across galaxies, and then you get to the little blue marble and kaplunk, like you've never
Highly
seen.
illogical, Captain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Come on. No, I think it's mostly like technology that we're unfamiliar with, probably mostly Chinese. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on.
Now, Melanie talked to me about this. We might have even talked about it on the show, but this is from our old stomping grounds of Washington
I thought
State.
they only bloom like once every billion years or so.
Yeah.
So we got another. I've actually seen this thing.
Hmm.
Not in bloom though, but it's like the size of a person. All right, Washington State University. Okay, so I saw the one in Tacoma. Washington State University is a lousy blah blah blah.
It's a lousy
Is a lousy Batman.
school. I'm sorry.
Is allowing those who want to see but not smell its famously stinky corpse flower the chance to see the plant in bloom via live stream. I might actually do that. The corpse flower, scientifically known as Titan arum, was planted at the school's Vancouver campus in 2002 and first bloomed in July 2019. The flower, dubbed the Titan Van Coog,
Cute.
last bloomed in 2022, and the school announced the flower again bloomed Thursday and started to emit its signature smell, which has been compared to that of rotting flesh. The school was inviting members of the public to visit Titan Van Coog at the school's Science and Engineering building. Those who can't make the trip or don't want to submit themselves to the smell can see Titan Van Coog on the school's live stream.
Alrighty. Cool. Alright. I love stories like this. This is good stuff
Okay,
here.
I'm looking at the live stream and it's not bloomed.
Oh well. Funerals are more often than not a sad and somber affair where grieving people say goodbye to a much-loved friend or relative who has died. However, a wake in Ecuador took an unexpected turn when a woman who had been declared dead started knocking on her coffin to reveal she was still very much alive.
Yikes!
The bizarre incident in the central city of Babahoyo has prompted a government investigation. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Babaloo!
Went to the hospital where Bella Montoya from Babahoyo was treated. Miss Montoya, a 76-year-old former nurse, was lifted out of her coffin and rushed back to the hospital after the
Yikes.
unfinished funeral on Friday.
Well, thank God they didn't embalm the poor woman.
Her relieved but shocked son, Gilberto Barbera, said, "It gave us all a fright." He added, "There were about 20 of us there. After about 5 hours of the wake, the coffin started to make sounds. My mom was wrapped in sheets and hitting the coffin, and when we approached, we could see that she was breathing heavily."
Well, at least she
if
was
you were in
breathing.
a coffin, you'd be breathing heavily too if you're still alive.
Yeah.
Mr. Barbera said doctors have told him his mother's situation remains dire. Mrs. Montoya was in intensive care at the Martin Icaza Hotel in Babahoyo on Monday.
I'm just enjoying that way too much.
While the ministry investigates the doctors involved in her case, Ecuador's health ministry said. A technical committee has also been formed to review how the hospital issues death certificates.
Hello.
Mrs. Montoya had initially been admitted to the hospital on Friday with possible stroke and cardiopulmonary arrest. She was declared dead when she didn't respond to resuscitation, the health ministry added.
So we didn't, listen for her heart.
Listen to your heart.
Didn't
She was declared dead when she didn't respond to resuscitation. Mr. Barbera says his mother was unconscious when she was brought to the emergency room, and the doctor informed him a few hours later that she was dead. The doctor, who didn't do his job, then handed over identity documents and a death certificate. Mrs. Montoya is now under intubation, and doctors have not been giving relatives much hope about her prognosis. Mr. Barbera said no details have been released about the doctor who had prematurely declared the woman dead and needs to go to veterinarianism or something out in
Wow.
Babahoyo.
Glad they discovered that before she was buried, though. Can you imagine?
Babahoyo.
One more time.
No.
For those in the
Babahoyo! I'm done now. I'm such a child with these things.
You really are.
But it's making you laugh.
I'm not dead yet. How you will be in a moment.
I'll be kicking off any time now.
Aww, this is cute. A New Jersey man upended his life by jumping in to drive his family over 1,000 miles when their flight was canceled. Nathan Montanez had just dropped his wife and 2 kids at the airport to begin their trip to Disney World. Why would they go to Disney World without him? But United Airlines
You know
canceled-
something? You're going to find out whether the princess married the prince, because I read this one in advance, baby.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay. But United Airlines canceled their flight to Florida, and any rebooking meant that they wouldn't get to leave on their vacation for 2 days. Man. Jill Tobin Montanez said she'd been planning this trip for months. Gosh, I'm really doing good tonight. Nathan, who works in supply chain operations, had to work, so wasn't even going on the trip. 15 minutes before departure, the flight was canceled, and there were no ticket options for days. I explained to my kids that sometimes life gives you lemons, and we try again to get to Disneyland another time, she recalled. Suddenly, Jill's husband messaged her that he was in the back of the airport and they should meet him outside. When we got in the car, all defeated, he asked if we were ready to go. We said yep, thinking we were going home. Then he told us to get ready for a long drive. He then put the song On the Road again on the radio and told us he was driving us to Disney. Yay! Nathan proceeded to drive 17 hours straight so they wouldn't miss a day in the Magic Kingdom. What a sweetie.
That's a good dad right there.
The car pulled into Orlando a little after midnight, and he turned around just a few hours later and headed back. Well, how are they going to get back? So he could get to work
fly
on
home.
Tuesday,
I mean,
only missing one day.
They still have the ticket home.
So he literally drove them all the way there and then turned around and drove back.
That's not only a good dad, that's also a good employee.
Yeah. This dad is our rock, Jill exclaimed. Not many people in this world would do that, and the kids absolutely appreciate what he did for them. They haven't stopped talking about him, she wrote in an email, signing off as the wife to one amazing dad.
All right.
Very sweet.
Oh,
The look
boy.
on his face is just, man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Absolutely. All right. This one. Ugh. Scooter isn't what many would call a...
Poor little Scooter.
That is one fubugly mutt. But anyway, Scooter isn't what many would call a conventional beauty. The 7-year-old Chinese crested dog with reversed hind legs is nearly bald but for a shock of white wispy hairs. But it's those kind of peculiarities that endeared the pooch to judges at the world's ugliest dog contest in Petaluma, California, where he took home the grand prize on Friday. Scooter's pink wayward tongue may be drooping from his mouth. The contest title, however, is meant to be tongue-in-cheek. The nearly 50-year-old event... I used to live out there. I don't remember that. Oh, wait. Anyway, nearly 50-year-old event is held to show that these dogs are uniquely beautiful by celebrating the imperfections that make all dogs special, and to advocate for adoption. From the second he sits, his hairless little booty and backward legs on your lap, you feel his warm, huggable power to change the meaning of the word ugly, said NBC host Gadi Schwartz, one of the competition's judges, in an interview with Today. Christine Lang, another judge, told the New York Times in the cutest way possible, he kind of reminds me of a hairy hippopotamus.
He is. He's got a big old belly. His little legs are all backwards and weird looking.
Scooter, now celebrated for his peculiarities, once faced death for his deformity.
Of course he did.
He was born with 2 deformed hind legs that hindered his ability to walk, according to his biography on the contest website.
He even has a rat's tail. There's no hair on that tail. It looks like a rat.
Yeah. Wow, his legs are a little off. He was born with 2 deformed hind legs that hindered his ability to walk, according to his biography on the contest website. As a new puppy, Scooter was saved by a volunteer from the Saving Animals from Euthanasia, SAFE, rescue group, SAFE, after a breeder brought him into animal control in Tucson, Arizona. He knew that this pup might have a chance at finding a good home and a fairly normal life with the support of our rescue group, the biography said. Linda Elmquist adopted Scooter 7 months ago from a man with the rescue group, reported Today. When the 7-year-old gets tired from navigating on his front feet, he props himself up on his butt, which he uses as a tripod.
He sounds adorable.
Scooter recently got a new cart to help with his mobility. Excellent. He's now able to zoom around the park like the other dogs and welcomes any outstretched hand. When the wheels are off, Scooter can do what most dogs can't, walk while balancing on his 2 front legs.
Oh, good for him. So he really adapted.
Yeah, he adapted well. He adapted better than most people would, but...
Now they've got former winners here. One that looks like a chihuahua that his whiskers just went all the wrong ways. His name was Mugly. And then another was a bulldog, but I think they're ugly always. So no, he's a particularly ugly bulldog. Oh no, I'm sorry. She has pink toenails and a pink collar. Ugh. Who paints their dog's toenails? Okay. Well, they tried. Well, congratulations, Scooter. What a sweet little puppers. Very very kind people to do for him what they did. That's I gotta appreciate that. Okay.
This is what you get when you have me select the stories for the show.
Yeah. Gee. Chat, let's see if any of you can figure out why Jim chose this particular story. More than 1,100 people donned Dolly Parton costumes in an Irish town to attempt a Guinness World Record and raise money for charity. The Dolly Day event... Why are they doing it in Ireland when they could have done it at Dolly World?
Because Dollywood, you have to pay admission for Dollywood.
Oh, I'm sure Dolly would have made an exception for herself.
Yeah.
The Dolly Day event in Listowel attempted to set a world record for the largest gathering of people wearing a full head-to-toe Dolly Parton costume. Head-to-toe, Right, head-to-toe. Mm-hmm. Organizers said that more than 1,100 people donned blonde wigs, cowboy boots, and rhinestone-covered costumes to attend the event, and pillows, and, and water balloons, which raised money for Carey Hospice and comfort for Chemo Carey. Very nice. Eugene Nodden, who has served as Dolly Parton's president of Dollywood since 2019, was among those in attendance. Nodden promised he would share photos from the event with the singer in an attempt to convince her to visit the town.
So she isn't, not directly involved, but her people are involved.
Of all the stars, she would be the one that would actually go.
Absolutely.
Officials said evidence from the gathering is being submitted to Guinness World Records, and they expect to hear whether a record was officially set in 8 to 12 weeks. So somewhere in a Guinness World Record book is how many Dolly impersonators you can get in one place. It has the weirdest things. Well, hopefully they made it. I hope they made it. We'll check back and find out. We'll check back and find out. Alrighty. Well, we've got a few minutes left. You want to head on into nice things?
Yes, let's do that.
If I can find it. Where'd it go? Oh no! This is why we... Oh, now see, that's why we can't have nice things.
All right.
I think I bumped it to the bottom of the queue because we didn't do it last week.
Speaking of boobies...
Oh, boy. Really?
It was just obvious...
Oh, wait, I gotta...
It doesn't work if you say, wait, I've got it. Wah, wah, wah. That's more like it. A jury convicted an Oregon man of laying elaborate booby traps at his former home, injuring an FBI bomb tech... That shouldn't make me laugh.
Yeah, it should not make you laugh.
FBI bomb technician, federal prosecutors reported. Gregory Lee Rodvelt, 71, Gregory Lee.
He's the Gregoriest person I've ever known.
Gregory
Not
Lee Rodvelt.
regularly enough.
Formerly of Williams, Oregon, faces up to life in prison on charges of assaulting a federal officer and discharging a firearm in a crime of violence, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Oregon said in the June 6 news release. Rodvelt, who lost his home in a lawsuit, set up a series of booby traps on the property in 2018 after learning a receiver had been appointed to sell it, prosecutors said. That is revenge with a capital V, I'm telling you. Did you hear that bit?
I did not hear that bit. I was letting in the Mackie Mouse.
Rodvelt, who lost his home in a lawsuit, set up a series of booby traps on the property in 2018 after learning a receiver had been appointed to sell it, prosecutors said.
I kind of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. It's like, I'm 71, let me live!
Yeah.
Leave me alone! Bomb technicians from these... I'm not that far away from 71. I mean, in the grand scheme of things. I'm still going to make fun of old people. Screw it. Okay. Bomb technicians from the FBI and Oregon State Police first found steel animal traps beneath a minivan blocking the gate, officials said. Homemade spike strips also had been placed nearby. A hot tub placed on its side had been rigged to roll over anyone opening the gate, prosecutors said.
Oh, my.
In the garage, bomb technicians found a rat trap modified to fire a shotgun shell at anyone who opened the door, although the device was not loaded, officials said. After blasting open the front door of the home, bomb technicians found a wheelchair in the entryway. When bumped, the wheelchair fired a shotgun device, prosecutors said.
Wow, he went all out.
This is where he got nailed. The shotgun blast hit FBI bomb technician in his leg below the knee, prosecutors said. His colleagues administered first aid and took the injured man to a hospital. Rodvelt will be sentenced at a later date, prosecutors said. Williams is a community near the California border, about 265 miles south of Portland.
Okay, so there was an update, and he did get quite a bit of time.
Oh, well. You know, I at least, I mean, he's old. He'll live the rest of his days and being fed and housed.
Yeah,
So
I guess, yeah, he won't have to worry about losing. He'll have 3 hots and a cot.
I
get
the mentality that would, or the gut feeling that this guy had, but I could never resort to something like that. But then again, that's why I don't get a newspaper article.
Somebody who's
about
watched
me.
Home Alone one too many times.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, this
Pretty
one's
much.
a little twisted. I'm actually watching a series that went for 7 seasons about a 40-year-old woman who's posing as a 27-year-old because she couldn't get a job otherwise. So,
Is this Yellow Jacket or what is it?
no, a Yellow Jacket. I buzzed through that. Those
Oh.
are kids that got.
You buzzed through that. That's
I
cute.
buzzed through it.
That was cute.
Wait, did we just talk about that? Yeah, I think we just talked about this to each other, but not on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that you are an immigrant to a new country and you would like to assimilate into that new country first by learning the language.
Mm-hmm.
So here are your choices. You can go on the internet, maybe, learn some English that way. You could go to an ESL class. There's a lot of them that are free.
Right, or low cost.
Yeah, you could go to a community college.
True.
You know, learn something. You could
And
make
there's always
friends.
grants available.
Yeah,
you can
you
pretty
can
much
make
do
friends
that
with your
for free
neighbors.
if you really apply yourself.
Or you could do what this woman did.
Which is?
Martha Jasenia Guterres Sereno
See.
and her mother, Marta Elizabeth Sereno Alvarado, 46, both of Bout, were arrested Tuesday at the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office, and each were charged with 1 count of injuring public records. So apparently a 28-year-old woman who enrolled at a Louisiana high school and posed as a 17-year-old student to learn English has been arrested along with her mother.
Are you joking?
She used a fake passport and birth certificate from Honduras to register and enroll her daughter at Hanville High School for the 2022-23 school year. The investigator said that she told them she enrolled in school to learn the English language. She wanted to learn English. She wanted to become proficient in the English language. There was no nefarious reason behind this. It
That
was
just
just
plain
bad
dumb.
judgment.
That was just dumb. That was bad judgment.
Well, she got a fake passport. That's not just bad judgment, and you can't tell me that's not nefarious.
I like that word.
Nefarious?
Yeah, almost as much as Badalinguo or whatever I was saying before.
Babaloo! So, of course, they said there are other ways she could have done it. ESL, GED. Certainly, that's a much better option than falsifying records. The sheriff said that Guterres Serrano did not participate in any extracurricular activities and had no disciplinary issues while attending schools. Well, yeah, you'd think you'd want to lay low if you're twice the age you say you are. There's no current evidence of any other criminal activity or inappropriate conduct. 4 days after the school year ended, so she actually got to go the whole year, an internal investigation began after the St. Charles Parish school system received a tip that a female student at Hanville High, believed to be 17, may actually have been in her mid-20s. It's unknown if either woman has an attorney who could comment on the arrests. The school system will enhance processes to determine the authenticity of enrollment documents for current and future students, as well as modify policy and procedures as warranted. Well, here's a question. If this is an American school, why wouldn't she have not needed, like, American ID? She used a fake
I mean,
passport from another country.
I don't recall needing a state issued, government issued ID to get into school.
I did, and that's what jacked me up for getting my Texas ID, because that's all I had was my school ID that was in a name that wasn't mine. Well, okay, no, nothing nefarious here, nothing to see. Carry on. I want to know how she gets a fake passport that easily. Where can I get mine?
Oh man, this one is. It happened in Illinois. It should have been Florida, but anyway, we may have some Florida man depending on our schedule later. But this can be an honorary one. A suburban Chicago man is facing firearm charges after he told officers he accidentally shot himself in the leg while dreaming that an intruder was breaking into his home. Police said. The Lake Barrington man was charged about 2 months after Lake County Sheriff's deputies were called to his home on April 10th on a report about a person with a gunshot wound, police said. Deputies who found the 62-year-old man with a gunshot wound to one of his legs applied a tourniquet to the limb because he was losing a significant amount of blood before being hospitalized, police said. The man told investigators he had a dream that someone was breaking into his home, and during that dream he retrieved his .357 Magnum revolver and shot at who he believed was the intruder, police said. When he fired, he shot himself and apparently woke up from the dream. I would imagine you would.
I think that should wake
Police
up,
said
yes.
Tuesday in a news release. Investigators determined there was no burglary attempt at the man's home in the northwest Chicago suburb, but they found that his state firearm owner's identification card had been revoked and he was still in possession of a firearm.
Ruh-roh.
How dare you use the Second Amendment? You're in jail.
On yourself.
On yourself. A warrant was issued
I call that a victimless crime.
Well, yeah. A warrant was issued June 9 for the man on...
Man, that was
The
suck
rules,
to go to
okay.
jail for shooting
The
myself.
rules are baloney, but
That would suck.
know them.
That
Just
would
know
suck.
them. Work with them, okay? Work to remove them, but if you know what they are, behave. A warrant was issued June 9th for the man on charge of possession of a firearm without a valid FOID card. Void, and reckless discharge of a firearm, both felonies, police said. He was arrested Monday and released after posting bond and is scheduled for a June 29 court status hearing, police said. Online court records do not list an attorney who could speak on the man's behalf. A man who answered the phone listed for the man declined comment Thursday when reached by the Disassociated Press.
Disassociated Press.
Yeah. Okay, you're dumb. You accidentally shoot yourself, so now you're embarrassed and you're going to get in trouble.
And you're in jail.
Yeah, that's why we
That
can't
is-
have nice things, folks.
That's definitely... Okay, this one takes the cake.
Oh, dear Lord.
A Belgian man has explained why he faked his own death and turned up to his own funeral in a helicopter. David Berton, 45, claimed he carried out the elaborate prank to teach members of his family a lesson about the importance of staying in touch with one another. By golly, instead of going on Facebook, he faked his own death? Berton, who posts on TikTok by the name Don't Even Care, told French chat show
Like,
Don't
no,
Care
les
That
vieux.
Either that he orchestrated
Touchez
the
pas,
stunt.
les mon pas.
Oui, oui. It is a fun bouquet. I'm spitting all over my mic now. It is not it's
We'll have to tell our audience about this. So I think you have already.
It is Okay.
It's not. It's anyway.
Okay, so he told them that he orchestrated the stunt because he felt unappreciated by some of his relatives. Yeah, I am sure they appreciate him good
big
and proper
time now.
Yeah. A video capturing the moment that the 45-year-old man arrived at his own funeral in a helicopter was posted by a TikTok user by the name of Thomas Fout, who apparently attended the ceremony. Footage shows the mourners watching as the helicopter landed in a field and a door opened. It then cuts to a clip of people surrounding Berton, with more walking toward him to hug and greet him. And it's really funny because you watch the video, and it wasn't like people are like, ah, and they go run across the field. They were all just like, really? And they're all kind of like just sauntering over. It's like, really? Film crew the scene, blah-de-blah. Another video uploaded by Thomas showed the emotional relatives crying as they embraced Burton. The TikTok user wrote in the caption, now keep in mind, he's a dad.
Uh-huh.
He's got chillins.
Uh-huh.
A TikTok user wrote in the caption, "You got us, I swear I was crying, and then I had the shock, buddy. We love you very much." The staged funeral took place last week near Liege after one of Burton's daughters reportedly wrote a tribute to her father on social media and said, "Rest in peace, Daddy. I will never stop thinking about you. Why is life so unfair? Why you? You were going to be a grandfather and you still had your whole life ahead of you. I love you. We love you. We will never forget you." That's just cruel. I mean, that's just cruel. The prank did not sit well with viewers, and many people criticized Burton for being cruel to his family. Sounds familiar. While Burton has not uploaded footage of the funeral himself, he posted a video explaining why he carried out the stunt. Burton said he was hurt because he never gets invited to anything by his family members.
I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to play you. This is what you do. Go out. Make friends. Screw them if they don't want to be with you. Are they really worth being with if they don't want to be with you? Why make them a priority when you're just an option to them?
Or maybe they're not inviting you because you're an asshole that would fake your own death. Max agrees.
Max is off in the distance yelling.
Look, he's got your hairdo.
I know. Stop it.
Your hair don't.
Just, all right, you.
Right up to that little pointy part at the very tip.
Someday I'll explain the pointy part. There's a story behind it.
There is?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody sees me. We all grew apart. I feel unappreciated. That's why I wanted to give them a life lesson and show them that you shouldn't wait until someone is dead to meet up with them. Did you ever consider the possibility of, I don't know, picking up the phone yourself, you deadbeat? Max. Your public is listening, okay? Say your piece. He added that although only half of his family attended his fake funeral, other relatives have since contacted him. That proves he really cares about me, he said. Those who didn't come did contact me to meet up, so in a way, I did win. What a dick. Later, during his appearance on the TV show, Burton said he regretted going through with the stunt. You think? But he got to ride a helicopter, so I'm a little jealous there. He revealed that his wife had known about his plan from the beginning and tried to stop him. Should have tried harder there, Bubby. The prankster allowed his children to believe that he had really died for a couple of days before telling them the truth. What a jerk. He told the chat show that it was his film crew that stipulated they would only document the stunt if he let his children and sister know that he was not really dead. He has insisted, however, that they half knew it was a prank from the beginning. How do you half know that your dad's not dead? And where did he stay?
At the fabulous Holiday Inn.
After seeing the response from his loved ones, Barton said, "As soon as I started receiving messages from people and videos of them crying, I wished I could cancel the whole thing, but it was too late. I asked myself, what have you done this? But it was too late." So apparently that's what he actually wrote, because they gave you the little sick thing. Jeez.
I'm sorry to all the people I hurt. I hate hurting people. No, you don't hate hurting people. If you should have thought this through.
That is an all-new form of narcissism.
That's like big time. Okay. Wait a minute. This is your whose turn is it? My turn?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Jens, I know.
Just for the record.
Yes.
It is not true that officials in Rome have offered the Colosseum for Musk and Zuckerberg to fight it out. That was just a rumor. Some people are reporting it as if it's true.
I would love that. That'd be the perfect place for it.
The Italian government says that did not happen. So.
Well, I think
it'd be funny as heck, but
I think it should be Madison Square Garden. Frankly, that's where I think it should be. I mean, let's Ollie Frazier this anyway.
I think it should be space.
If you're in space, never mind. Gents, I know you want to mark your love for your woman for all eternity, but maybe don't do it on ancient arenas where they used to mass murder Roman slaves for sport.
I love this headline.
The Italian government is
Rome is looking for this dude who carved his lady's name into the Colosseum because gladiatorial arenas are romantic, I guess.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, yeah. Italian government is seeking to identify this tourist who carved the name of his girlfriend Haley into the wall of the Colosseum. Do not visit a country and deface historical and or sacred
They're not telling us whether
landmarks.
he was indeed
My dude.
American.
And this is obviously not a news article. My dude, what in the heck are you thinking? Why would you do that? What's next? Carving your initials in the walls at Auschwitz or the Tower of London? Why do people think it's cute to do these things at monuments to human suffering? A Russian tourist who vandalized the Colosseum in 2014 was fined 20,000 euros, and I have a feeling if Ivan doesn't get the heck out of Dodge, it's going to be much worse. Oh, heavens. Really? That's just plain dumb.
Well, it's written with such humor because it is not the B News site. And these guys are brilliant. These guys are brilliant.
Which is true stories published by people sort of kind of affiliated with the Babylon Bee, which is completely a satire thing, but people still take them way too seriously.
Way too seriously.
Anywho.
Well, believe it or not, we are at the top of the hour. Got a couple
We
of things
are.
today. Yeah. Max finally shut up. He's sitting here next to me, happy as a clam. Why are clams so happy?
Because they have their mouths shut and their mouths form this big old smile.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not seeing it, but okay. I think they're happy because they taste so good. That's why pigs are always happy. No? All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll come back with, holy crap, this is actually happening. A little bit of new abnormal. And who knows? Maybe some Florida man. It's been a while.
And something special at the end of our show.
Something special at the end of our show.
Yeah, I get it. Your parents were jerks and you're traumatized. But that doesn't mean you should use your lousy childhood as an excuse to be a lousy adult. Stop being such a whiner and get past your past already. Buy Get Over It and Get Started, the book by Melanie Hope that will get you out of your self-imposed failure and on the road to greatness. Available in paperback, Kindle, and Nook.
There are times in your life when a normal beer just won't do. You want a beer with body. You want a beer with volume. You want a beer with a unique flavor all its own. That's when it's time to crack open an ice-cold bottle of Flint Water. Flint Water Lager is made with the finest municipal water Michigan has to offer. Brewed with the best grains you could purchase in bulk from the outlet store and aged in casks made from abandoned pallets from our world-famous shuttered car factories. One sip of Flint Water and you'll know it's the best beer you'll ever taste. It may also be the last beer you'll ever taste, and in that case, why not go out with the very best? Flint Water Beer, the brew for you. Flint Water Brewing Company, Flint, Michigan. Don't drink responsibly, drink Flint Water.
In a world where the landscape is darkened by freedom, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. In a time where free speech threatens to end life as we know it, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. In a country where Easter worshippers unite to tear apart our very social fabric, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. Tonight, on the Warner Universal Disney Fox network, the continuing story of the world's greatest force for peace and justice, Antifa, starring Tab Rockenfeld as Captain Bart Bikelock.
Quick, Black Hood, check out the image on the re-screen. No time to lose. Antifa Force, assemble!
Also starring Ginger Lake as Barbara Black Hood.
Oh no, Captain, it can't be. A group of men sitting peacefully in a circle and praying. What are they trying to do to our fair city?
Featuring Steve Marcel as Kirby Skater Boy, Mario Spinetti as Perpetual College Student,
John or Jane Doe as gender-ambiguous person, Melinda Jones as pissed-off lesbian girl, and Raphael Smith as a closeted violent psychopathic man. Tonight's special guest, Max von Riegelbieser as the mainstream media enabler.
In all my years behind this desk, I have never seen such awful days as this. Despite the best efforts of our educational system and our elected officials, forces more evil than Chihuahua breeders have discovered the dark power of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They are practicing the witchcraft of thinking for themselves. Even worse, right this very minute, people are doing actual research and reporting things on their own rather than blindly trusting us. Oh, where has this once great nation gone? Antifa, save us!
Tune in tonight at 9 p.m. for Antifa! And catch back episodes on demand at MSNBC,
Leaders, listen up. Do you feel like you can't get a dang thing done because of all the namsy-pamsy crybabies that want you to coddle their creativity? When you give orders, are you met with vacant stares only rivaled by a cocker spaniel? It's not them. It's you. You need to shape up or they'll ship you out. Read The Sniper's Guide to Leadership, and you'll become a more effective leader, communicator, and motivator. Forget SMART goals and learn SWIFT goals. Get The Sniper's Guide to Leadership in paperback, Kindle, and Nook. Today!
Hello, my name is... what do you care? Anyway, my people have had years and years of persecution. We've complained about it ever since Moses brought us out of the wilderness. So what do you all do? You now pay absolutely no attention to us at all anymore. Women's March this, Black Lives that. What are we, chopped liver? It's time we stood up and started complaining again. We have developed a very weapon that will help us reclaim our rightful place of kvetching in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Mazel Tov cocktail. Handcrafted from the finest kosher beer bottles, filled with the tears of our ancestors that burn hotter than the Arab sun, and wicked by our own rendered garments, the Mazel Tov cocktail is guaranteed to splatter and spread millennia's worth of oppressed rage and guilt, so you'll know for certain you are doing God's wake. Use the best, forget the rest, the #1 bomb for civil unrest, made exclusively by the world's oppressed, Mazel Tov.
May cause itching, burning, stinging, sores, zits, hives, freckles, cancer, and Karen Collins. Not for use by plebs, noobs, cucks, simps, fascists, do-nothing weaklings, and especially Antifa, because they are all of those things. Most effective at night after curfew. Mazel Tov is not responsible for any breakages, slippage, mishandling, jail time, or insurance claims. Hi, everybody. This is Fritzina Fluffybottom. Did you know that we have a Subscribe Star? We do! There are lots of fabulous extra things on there that you can't get anywhere else, like outtakes, new books, and extra videos. And you can sign up for as little as $1. Our entire show is funded by you, our loyal viewers. Please make sure you sign up today so that Mommy and Daddy can get me shiny new belts for my collar, extra feathery toys, yummy crumbly cat food bowls made just for kitty cats, more cow pillows for my couch, name brand albacore tuna, my own pink guest. One more story, and this is why we can't have nice things. Let's talk about the saga of UPS, and yes, I'm calling them out by name. So we are angel investors in, well, not a winery, but multiple small wineries.
Through a company called Angel Wines.
Literally called Angel Wines. Naked Wines is their main source. And what we do is over the course of a year, sometimes two, we contribute a certain amount of money, and then we can get that back by getting a case of wine. So, I mean, this is something we planned literally for a year.
And we've been doing this for several years now.
Yeah, we started this, I believe, in Kent before we moved down to
Really?
Vegas.
I thought it was in Vegas, but I don't know.
It might have been Vegas. I could be wrong. But we've been doing it an awful long time.
Yeah.
As long as we've been doing this podcast.
Definitely.
In fact, those of you who are long-term listeners probably remember hashtag Save the Keyboard.
and a goodly number of our Wine of the Week entries from earlier in our existence were from this company.
Yes.
So
we had saved up enough to get a case and ordered our case. And this is in the 2 years that we've lived here, we have gotten 3 cases, and all 3 of them were not delivered. And I'm not blaming the wine company because it is 100% UPS. So when we lived in a different city that shall not be named, they literally delivered it to a completely different complex. Now keep in mind, this is wine that an adult has to sign for by law. And they just dropped it off at some random apartment complex, and I just happened to see it as I was driving by. I'm like, that's weird that a box of angel wine is just hanging outside somebody's door. Happened to be the same apartment number that we lived in a block away. So I had already contacted them and told them that, they said they had delivered it, but I never saw anybody. And they said, well, you signed for it. I'm like, no. If I signed for it, you can show me my signature. And then they came back and said, oh, well, they delivered it to the junkyard across the street. Okay, 2 problems with this. Number 1, why in the living Christ would you deliver somebody's package to a junkyard? And number 2, there wasn't a junkyard across the street. It was an empty lot. So it took us another week or 2 to finally straighten that out. Where they delivered it to was a gated community, so you couldn't even get in there. And then, of course, it's like a bajillion degrees out, so if we waited until we could get a hold of the person, if we were able to, it would be vinegar by then. So they ended up having to redeliver it and actually send it to the FedEx clearinghouse so that we could go pick it up because UPS was so useless they couldn't actually deliver it. And Amazon was every bit as bad in that particular location.
Yeah, I don't think they like delivering stuff there. It was the festering crotch rot of Texas. There's no other way to put it.
Twice. And I know exactly what's happening. I know exactly what's happening because these boxes are labeled Angel Wines. Big, beautiful blue logo, and they're really good wines. So fast forward to last week, and we were like, okay, we're in a different place now. It shouldn't be difficult. We both work from home, so it's not like we won't be home to pick it up. Plus, we have dogs, so if anybody knocks on the door, the dogs go ballistic. And we live in a house, so we don't have to worry about apartments and whatnot. So they said, they were supposed to deliver it to us, and the day that we were supposed to get delivery, I opened the front door, and there's a sign, one of those sticky on the door. Now, we were home. Both of us worked from home. We were home. Nobody knocked. But we got one of those, oh, sorry, we missed you stickies. It's like, you didn't miss me. We're here. So I tried to contact them, and nobody answers, of course, and they're supposed to deliver the next business day, but they don't show up for 3 more days. So I contact UPS, and I contact the wine company, and, of course, a big search ensues, and I have to share what the lady from UPS said, because this is the best gaslighting I've ever heard attempted, or the worst. Best as in the worst. She gets all uppity with me. She gets really kind of snuffy on me. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure I know what happened because this is the 3rd time this has happened. I think your driver really likes wine. Mm-hmm. And they got themselves a case of nice wine. Now, keep in mind, the woman had just told me that they've done an exhaustive search and the driver does not know what happened to this case. And we're talking 12 bottles of wine, so it's not a little bitty box.
And not cheap stuff.
Yeah. But we're not talking a tiny little box. We're not talking like a jewelry box that, whoopsie, I dropped it, They don't know what happened to it. So I say, well, I'm pretty sure I know what happened to it. Guy, driver, probably enjoys wine and got himself a case of wine. To which she says, well, now that's impossible because all of our drivers are on camera the entire time.
Okay, so
that means we should know exactly where the damn box is, right, lady? And she went silent. So they take another 2-3 days to, quote, quote, investigate and just come back and say, no, I have no idea. So the wine company was kind enough to send out another case, which
they had to do that other time also.
Yeah, which was supposed to go to FedEx, but she must have hit the wrong buttons. But it did actually come here this time. But we put out a big sign that said, we are home. We both work from home. We are here.
Knock loud.
Knock loud.
It's worked on a couple of other deliveries since then too.
Yeah.
So
Dogs
it's sad we got to
useless.
do that, but
Dogs will bark.
The tendency for mail people, UPS people, FedEx, DHL, all of them, they'll walk up to the door and go.
Well, not only that, but it's the back door. They're
Yeah.
not even coming to our front door. That's our back patio.
Yeah.
It's because the road drives up to it.
Yeah.
The front door is right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
But they come to the back door and they barely lightly tap on it. It's like,
Yeah.
well, we need a doorbell. Okay, so, long story short, here we are, wine of the week. This is Mauricio Lorca, Gran Reserva. It is a 2020 Malbec from Uco Valley.
We love Malbecs here at
We do.
Counterculture
We
Wise.
like our blends, we like our... All right, and we're having it with a smoked bacon Gouda, a chipotle, I think that's also a Gouda, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some brie. We go all the way here at Counterculture Wise.
We have a link on our website, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, where you can
to
get
Angel Wines, and you
a
can
wonderful
hook up and
discount.
get a great discount on your first case. So
Okay.
check it out.
The journey of this Gran Reserva Malbec began with the careful selection of grapes grown from our vineyards in the heart of Uco Valley, Argentina. Ooh.
Argentinian's the best.
Some of the best. Like each of my Uco Valley wines, it's a limited production, as the grapes come from my small estate. This way I can put my care into each step of the winemaking process, ensure quality, and bring out the incredible flavors of a true Mendoza wine. This is aged for 12 months in new French oak barrels. This reserve showcases a tremendous varietal and terrier? Okay. I don't know what terrier means. Woof! I am so thankful to Angels for being part of my favorite adventure, making wines. I hope you enjoy this in the wonderful company of family and friends. And you know what? We are in the company of family and friends. So, here we go. Hashtag save the keyboard. I'll go slow. Nice and
Clink.
easy. Oh my.
That is delectable.
Oh.
That is absolutely delectable.
All right. Well, we will put a picture of this label up on our website because
This is one of the best Malbecs I can remember having.
it's got a nice bready, rich. Oh man.
And this would pair well with fruit. It would pair well with cheese.
Oh yeah, we've got cherries in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would pair well
right.
with a lot of things.
I would say 10 out of 5 stars. What do you say?
Yeah. Well, 7.32. No, I'm not that far off. Anyway. So we have poor Chuck. I got to share this with you about Chuck. Those of you who heard the Father's Day special heard him have an emotional and mental breakdown live on the show. He loves doing what he does. He said, I know I report on crazy stuff, but I'm happy to do it. Just please, please, please don't ever let Fritzy write the copy again. And I agreed with him that it probably wasn't the best idea. So with that in mind, Chuck is here.
And now, CCW News presents Holy Crap! This is actually happening! Disincentivized Independence Edition, July 2023. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news this week is that Ivy League colleges are big mad now that the Supreme Court has ruled they can no longer engage in rampant racism and might have to admit students based on ability instead of skin color. All over social media, tolerant anti-racists again took to their keyboards to call Clarence Thomas the N-word and proclaim that black folks aren't smart enough to get into college without liberal white saviors lowering the bar. Their indoctrinated darlings won't be getting the freebies they voted for either, as the court also found that Biden's loan forgiveness scheme was as unconstitutional as pretty much everything else he's done so far. The latest fire log that the Democrats are tossing on the witch-burning pile for President Trump involves leaking classified documents that he didn't actually have to the press. Their evidence comes in the form of a classified audio recording that the Democrats illegally leaked to the press. Proud Sanctuary City, New York is so upset that illegal immigrants are seeking sanctuary there that they're using taxpayer dollars to ship the sanctuary seekers all over the globe, including Florida, Texas, both states it bashed for doing the same thing, and communist China, because China's the first place we all think of to escape persecution. These moves, according to meat-eating vegan Mayor Eric Adams, are per their request, because if there's one thing you want to do for lawbreakers crashing your borders, it's to comply with their expensive requests. Currently, the city is housing illegals in luxury hotels and people's homes while it's not doing a thing for actual citizens who are homeless. Later, at a town hall, Adams then went on to accuse an actual Holocaust survivor of being a plantation owner because she was upset that she couldn't afford her rent under his economy. Speaking of the Big Apple, the entire country of Canada is on fire and, like their geese and musicians, they're sending the worst of it to the U.S., causing an air quality crisis all over the Northeast. So New York is banning pizza ovens. I swear I am not making this up. Other countries that are on fire include France and Belgium, thanks to violent gangs of migrants who demand justice by torching schools and stealing iPhones. It turns out that importing millions of Muslim warriors who hate everything about your country and your people might not have been the best idea, or, according to France's President Macron, it could be the fault of video games. After sending over tens of billions of taxpayer dollars to protect Ukraine's democracy, since this regime is disinterested in protecting our own, totalitarian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that there will be no presidential election until the endless war is over, effectively ending democracy in Ukraine. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap, this is actually happening. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.
Ever had a day you felt so stupid, lacking a brain? Well, here's a guy who'll make you feel like a genius and maybe even sane.
All the world loves to laugh at losers as often as they can.
Here comes another chance to chuckle. Here comes the Florida Man.
We decided to go ahead and do Florida Man because it's been so incredibly long. We will have a couple of new abnormals and then the special thing I had planned for later in the show. If we run a little long, there's no big deal.
We try to get either the really, really bizarre or the downright funny, so we don't have a lot of, the triple homicides and whatnot.
Yeah.
This first one, though, yikes.
Yeah, this is bad. It's Florida deputy version.
Yeah.
A Florida deputy accused of recklessly deploying a stun gun on a man who was covered in gasoline and became a human fireball has been charged in the incident at a gas station last.
Do you think he knew, though? I mean, that sounds like an accident.
We will see. Osceola County Deputy David Crawford was charged this week with one count. Oh, yes, this was back in May. Was charged in May with one count of
I said, we collect these.
Yeah. With one count of culpable negligence with personal injury, a first-degree misdemeanor. So there was no criminal intent, but it was negligent. Okay. According to the state attorney of the North Judicial District, Gene Barreto had second and third-degree burns to at least 75% of his body. Of all the things that could happen to my body, that's the thing I fear the most. That would just be the worst. It would be the worst thing to ever happen. After the February 22 incident at an Orlando gas station, Deputies were pursuing Barreto, who was accused of violating traffic laws as he popped wheelies in traffic while on his dirt bike.
Jeez, the guy went down for popping wheelies?
And a struggle ensued.
Wow.
Barreto was pumping gas and Crawford tackled him and became smothered in gasoline, according to...
Okay, so he did know, because he would have gotten gassed himself.
Crawford then deployed his taser like a genius. See, I didn't read this whole article beforehand, at full disclosure.
Crawford's lucky he didn't get himself set on
Setting
fire.
Barreto on fire and turning him into a human fireball. Barreto will require lifelong care, as the attorney said. I think the man has accrued more than $7 million in medical expenses.
Yeah, that dude doesn't have a job.
Najem says the charge is but a first tiny step. Law enforcement is supposed to protect us, not incinerate us. He said this was a grossly excessive use of force that should have
over a traffic
that should have
violation?
and could have been avoided.
Yeah, that was
Osceola County Sheriff's Office said it is letting the criminal justice system decide if Crawford committed a crime. I've already decided he committed a crime.
You
Over a year
tackled
ago,
a guy holding a gas. What did you think was going to...
Over a year ago, we investigated this case and sent our findings over to the state attorney's office to review. We feel it's appropriate to let the criminal justice system determine if Deputy Crawford did a criminal act that could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, the statement read. It sounds reasonable.
Lucky he didn't explode the entire gas station.
Yeah, there's that too. Crawford joined the agency in 2012. I bet he left in 2023. Anyway, if convicted, Crawford can face up to 1 year in jail and or a fine of up to $1,000.
That's it?
That's it?
And or? What? You're
Okay.
telling me I can set somebody on fire and only spend a year in jail?
Only if you're a cop, I guess.
Oh, man. Maybe Black Lives Matter has a point.
Maybe.
Except dude's white, but
Yeah, you know.
he probably wasn't there for a while. He probably was like...
He's
Charcoal
probably,
Cadet.
yeah, he's probably another color mostly now, but oi, oi, oi.
Okay,
Anyway.
this one leans more toward the funny side.
Okay.
Sometimes, I don't know if I want to read the article and surprise you, or just
I
read
usually
the
just
headline.
read the article.
A Florida man, who else, with a lengthy criminal rap sheet, was arrested after he dove out of an out of an apartment window that he barricaded himself in. Oh, it gets better. At 3:54 a.m. Sunday, multiple 911 calls came in reporting a car had crashed into a Sandalwood apartment building and that the driver was breaking into multiple apartments. When deputies arrived, they identified 44-year-old Corey Michael Payton as the person who was burglarizing the building. He later barricaded himself inside a second-story apartment. Payton reportedly began threatening to shoot deputies, who then evacuated multiple apartments, considering him to be because they were in danger. When the SWAT team came to the building, they began speaking with Payton through a second-floor window he'd broken out. After several hours of negotiating, how did he think this was going to end? After several hours of negotiating with Payton, he dove out of a second-story apartment window and hit the ground. Fire crews on the scene performed life-saving measures and Payton was flown to a regional trauma center. So I guess when they say dove, he literally dove head first. This guy sounds like a real winner. After the incident, deputies found Payton's ankle monitor inside one of the burglarized apartment buildings. He was on parole for burglary and on supervised release. Of course he was. An arrest warrant was issued for Payton on June 9th after he allegedly violated his parole. Allegedly. Payton's criminal history includes a total of 139 prior felony charges with 30 total felony convictions.
And he's out on the streets because
So he's basically
America.
a Biden.
So,
He's basically a Biden. His charges for Sunday's incident are still pending, but will include burglary to an occupied dwelling, burglary to a dwelling, and multiple counts of our favorite, criminal mischief.
Yay.
So they're not showing us a picture of this dude, but
I'm glad.
that is some hardcore
Although I'm sure
privilege.
he's not pretty. I don't know.
I'm
Some
sure.
about people like that. Okay, this one there is a picture of the guy. He'd been beat up. He ain't in good shape. A Florida man, who else, was arrested for allegedly crashing into a fire hydrant at Flagler County Racetrack. Racetrack is a gas station chain.
Okay.
Okay, at a Flagler County racetrack, and for reportedly trying to attack the arresting deputy.
Okay, dude is white-ish, and his head is perfectly square.
He's a blockhead.
And he has buttons like you.
Are we looking at the same guy?
Only he's got hair. No, I'm talking about this Peyton fellow that dove out of the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened there?
He ain't purty. He
Yeah.
ain't purty.
Well, no, he ain't pretty. So look at this guy on this
Okay,
one.
I haven't looked at this guy
Anyway,
yet.
deputies said they responded to a crash at the racetrack gas station on SR 100 East around
Yipe.
3:55 p.m. on Thursday. When they arrived, they saw a Ford Ranger that had crashed into a hydrant, causing a large flow of water into the nearby swale. When deputies spoke to Frank Clement Jr., who was standing near the trunk and appeared intoxicated, he, like an idiot, said he had been drinking. Deputies
He
said...
looks an awful lot like the Pelosi.
Yeah. Deputies said Clement advanced towards the deputy in a threatening manner before battering the deputy by forcefully grabbing him, a press release states. A witness told deputies it appeared Clement was reaching for the deputy's firearm. Now, I want you to go to our website, have a look on this at this guy's face. The obvious result of trying to take a... Yeah. He don't look purty anymore. After Clement was handcuffed, he was treated
black. I want my eyeball back.
One of my favorite songs. After Clement was handcuffed, he was treated for injuries at Advent Health, Palm Coast. I like Advent Health. They took care of me with my heart when my ticker
really
went goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Advent Health, Palm Coast, before being taken into custody. Clement's charges include driving under the influence with property damage, aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer with violence, and reckless driving.
I hate driving with property damage.
Yeah, but yeah, they gave him a good smackdown.
No mischievous mischief, or whatever they call
Malicious mischief.
That
No, unfortunately.
it. Mischievous maliciousness.
Well, he is a mischievous little boy,
All right.
isn't he?
You're gonna appreciate this one, Jim, because you and I and our single bathroom have had words on
That's
more than
true.
one occasion.
That's true.
Yes. A Palm Coast man was arrested June 6th after allegedly stabbing his roommate with scissors over an argument about their shared bathroom. I cannot tell you how many times I've wanted to stab you with scissors because of our bathroom.
No, I would have just pulled down my shorts and never mind.
Yeah, bob it. Bob it, bob it. By the way, if you do need gender reassignment surgery, she is still on the market. Just, oh wait, I have the thing
With the yeah, too late.
Yeah, well, it's just you and me. We need a, what are those people called that press the buttons for you?
Producers.
Yeah, we need one of those. The victim had 3 non-life-threatening puncture wounds on his right arm, thigh, and ankle. Oh, really? The suspect's 67.
All of these guys are old. They're all over 60 today. What's up with that?
I think people are just getting old and cranky, and they've had a day.
I'm already old and cranky, but don't see me
You've been old
beating
and
you up
cranky
over the
since
bathroom.
I met you.
And I'll be cranky after you're gone. After I'm gone.
One of us, yeah.
One of us are gone.
Anyways, poor old Willie, 67 years old, has been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, scissors, according to his arrest report. Breen and the victim are roommates at a group home in the first block of Rolling Sands Drive. The victim told Flagler County Sheriff's Office deputies that he and Breen had been arguing over their bathroom. When the victim returned to their bedroom to lay down on his bed, Breen got up from his and began stabbing the victim with a pair of scissors. The victim said he used his walker to shield himself. This old guy. Hey, get over here!
It reminds me of that time we were at a Toastmasters meeting and 2 of our friends who were like
the clash
old
of
as
the Bills.
the dirt, and they were like they were threatening each other over. It's like, and the funny thing is the person who's in charge of membership at the time invited the guests to come back, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, we're coming back." Yeah, they were actually. I mean, these 2 guys, and I'm pushing 60. They were probably in their 60s at the time. One of them's no longer.
One of them was.
One of them's in heaven
80s.
now, and the other one
Yeah.
is still around, I guess. But it was so amusing. I love old people threatening to beat up on each other, like, our resident in chief over there.
like you and me on any given day.
I'll take you behind the woodshed and beat you. Yeah, you have a bunch of Secret Service people. Yeah, guess what? If they weren't there, you'd poop your Pampers before I even lifted my fist to head it towards your face.
Oh man, imagine how many children Joe's taken behind the woodshed. Ugh. That was his go-to, though. Even in the 80s, he was threatening people. Okay. The victim said he used his walker to shield himself until a staff member pulled him from the room. He told deputies he delayed telling staff what happened because he was afraid of being kicked out of the home. The staff member later told deputies that she had been outside the room and heard Vreen say, "I'm going to kill you," before she entered the room. Vreen is being held in the county jail on $25,000 bond.
Why couldn't you be a good person like your brother Ben? Anyway.
Gotta love Florida.
Florida's a beautiful state. Mm-hmm. It's got a bunch of crazy people, but it's a beautiful state.
It's a beautiful state.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, we have time for some new abnormals, so let it rip.
This is not Bubba Walters. It is no longer 2020. But this is your new abnormal.
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
I can say one thing. Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
I'm the only president they got.
That is one of my favorite Biden lies.
That he graduated top
of his class and all that yada yada, and trying to impress him, saying, "I'm smarter than you."
I'm smarter than you, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to take you behind the woodshed and beat the living crap out of you.
Please, he can say that because he has Secret Service agents backing him up.
Now, that was the 70s that he was pulling that crap.
Yeah,
I can't believe people have forgotten that the guy had to drop out of the presidential race twice for lying and plagiarism.
Yep.
Twice. And
Anywho.
They still ran him.
Anywho.
All right.
Your time.
It's my turn?
Your time.
Let's see if I get through this without a ginger snaps.
The truth is going to get you fired. They used to say the truth shall make you free. But
well,
now it will get you fired. Or canceled.
This subject. And this is in our great state.
Texas? That ain't right, man.
A veteran biology professor in Texas who has been teaching that sex is determined by X and Y chromosomes for over 20 years was allegedly fired after 4 students walked out of his classroom. Dr. Johnson Varkey has claimed he was let go from his teaching position at St. Philip's College in San Antonio after he was accused of religious preaching. He was discussing the human reproductive system on November 28, 2022, when 4 students stormed out of the lecture. Varkey was then accused of discriminatory comments about homosexuals and transgender individuals, anti-abortion rhetoric, and misogynistic banter. I know these children have camera phones, so I would love to see the video. The professor said he received an email from the Alamo College's District Human Resources Department in January, which said his credentials would be revoked pending an investigation. He was later fired. It's important to note that he is not white. I know that's a big deal for lefties, so just thought I'd mention that. Lawyers from the First Liberty Institute representing Varkey sent letters to St. Philip's College last week to demand he be reinstated. In January 2023, St. Philip's College fired Dr. Varkey for teaching human biology just as he did in his previous 20-year career as a professor, it read. His statements are not only supported by his extensive education and experience, scientific fact and all that crazy stuff, but they also reflect his sincerely held religious beliefs. If science could be considered religion, okay. The law firm argued the firing of Varkey, who taught human anatomy and physiology at the college for 22 years, was against federal and state law, and it targeted his First Amendment rights. Varkey is also an associate pastor at a local church and a devout Christian who follows the religion's teachings on sexuality and abortion. How did he survive in college? But his attorneys added he has not expressed... Okay, guys in the press, you do not use an apostrophe to make a plural. Never. Never do apostrophes make a plural. Stop it. So whatever it is that the attorneys own added, he has not expressed any of those beliefs in the classroom. As his stellar performance reviews suggest, Dr. Varkey gladly taught students of all beliefs and backgrounds, the letter continued. Throughout his employment, he never discussed with any student his personal views, religious or otherwise, on human gender or sexuality. Well, you can't. Not in academia. His wife isn't white either. Wow, they're really...
No, this is actually... I'm at their website now. They are a primarily black college.
Yeah, they really hate this guy. On November 28, 2022, 4 of Dr. Varkey's students walked out of his classroom when he stated, consistent with his study of human biology and his religious beliefs, that sex was determined by chromosomes X and Y. That's not religion, that's science! That's literally science. You can literally see this in a microscope. The lawyers argued Varkey taught from school-approved and science-based curriculum, but the college claimed his teaching was religious. While some of the subject matter may be connected to class content, it was very clear from the complaints that you pushed beyond the bounds of academic freedom with your personal opinions that were offensive to many individuals in the classroom. The truth is so offensive. Varkey was informed that he was not scheduled to teach in the spring and that he wouldn't have any further teaching opportunities at St. Philip's College. Well, apparently they're not interested in learning
Biology.
Absolutely not. The community college has received complaints from conservative-leaning professors before, with political science professor Will Moravitz claiming last month that his contract was terminated because of his beliefs due to student complaints. These snowflakes, why are they in school? If you can't handle basic scientific fact, then get out of school, stop wasting our money. And I say our money because I know damn well you're not going to pay back your student loans.
Yeah!
A lawyer representing Moravardis said he tried to get them to engage all sides of the controversial issues, such as police brutality and gender ideology. Many of his engagements with students in class discussions came in direct response to their questions, which is what college is all about. So yeah, teach the truth, lose your job.
Interesting. Okay, so just a brief history lesson. The St. Philip's Church, St. Philip's College, well, you know, it starts with the name Saint.
Mm-hmm. So,
Duh. Anyway, let's just leave it at that. It was once a religious institution, I believe. Author Jonathan Miller explains the story of how his rescue puppy Bella became the first dog in history to be canceled as companies marked Pride Month.
What?
Marked Pride Month. This is an old issue.
Was she a gay-bashing doggy?
Mr. Miller said he received an email from GPS tracker company Tractive suggesting he buy a rainbow flag cover for his furry friend's device cover. I rather grumpily wrote to Tractive in Austria and I said, why don't you just concentrate on tracking dogs and cease the virtue signaling? Whoa, he told Sky News Australia host Piers Morgan. I got a reply that said, thank you for your email. We canceled your subscription to Tractive so you can no longer track your dog. Mr. Miller added, however, all is well that ends well, as the company's CEO sent an email humbly apologizing for the cancellation following media backlash. It's a very short article.
A very short article, but good God. So sick of this nonsense.
They're canceling dogs now.
Rainbow Mafia. This one is disgusting. Imagine that you have a child, an infant even, who is dying.
I can't imagine that. That would be. I would cry for the rest of my life.
I mean, I was a young girl when I went through that with my brother. I can't even imagine what my mom went through, but it was pretty hard being the sister. Can't imagine being the mom. And that you go to the hospital, which is the worst place you could possibly be with your child, and you go to the little chapel that a lot of these hospitals have just so you can get some
the
peace and
VA
quiet.
hospital I go to has one. I go in there almost every time I'm there.
And usually they're very sweet, quiet places. They sometimes have like one window that's stained
very,
glass.
very small with a stained glass window.
Yeah, not
That's
a lot
pretty
of
much all I
decorations or
have,
anything. It
and-
tends to be non-denominational unless the hospital itself is a particular denomination. But it's just a place where you can gather your thoughts, cry, do what you need to do. Imagine that you go in there for that and you see pedo flags covering every space of the wall.
By that she means rainbow LGBT
Oh
flags.
no, they have the pedo, the pink and the blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets better. The chaplain is trans.
Oh, for God's sake. Literally.
A trans chaplain in the NHS faced backlash from parents of terminally and gravely ill children after a prayer room was converted with LGBT flags for Pride Month. Max Reilly, a transgender man, which means she is a mentally ill woman, activist and minister. You cannot be a minister if you're all of those things. At a United Reformed Church in Edinburgh, is also in charge of spiritual care at the city's famous Sick Kids Hospital. A spokesman for NHS said the flags were used as a temporary decoration in the sanctuary to mark the Pride Day of celebration. Wrong religion, wrong place, never the right time. But one practicing Christian family who is related to a terminally ill toddler that uses the facility said she was left shaking with anger after the prayer room was transformed. And they went all the way. They got the yellow dot and the pink and blue and the black and the brown and all of the different stripes. They claimed the room is being used for activism for a cause that is in conflict with their religious beliefs. And this smug, hideously ugly woman who thinks she's a man actually went all the way, shaved her head the whole bit. The look on her face is... the only thing that's missing is Satan horns. Just this smug, self-satisfying, self-serving...
Yeah, that is one smug
that
face.
That is one hideous woman, an even uglier man. But yeah, they went all the way, the purple circles and the yellow and they had them all. We are a small family and we are very traumatized by the situation we're facing. My family and I are leaning on our faith as we face the worst fear and trauma of our lives. But as it stands, we can't use what is meant to be the hospital's prayer room. The room, which is called the sanctuary, but was labeled a chill-out zone by a rainbow sign, is intended to be a space for quiet reflection, prayer, or meditation, according to the hospital's website. Yeah, they even covered the sign outside the chapel, and it says chill out zone. What are you, 10? The hospital claimed the chill out zone sign had been left up due to an error, and is now removed. But parents arrived to find the area decked in flags, including one denoting polyamory, where people have sexual relationships with more than one person. And they literally have every single possible pride flag, including the pedo ones. A string of bunting also includes the gender fluid flag, where people do not have a fixed gender, and the agender flag, where people do not believe they even have a gender. Mr. Ray, who is a reverend elder in the Metropolitan Church, has lived as a trans man for more than 25 years. So she's been batshit insane for 25 years. I'm not even pulling punches anymore. Speaking on the Transgender Day of Visibility in March, she said, "We are a denomination that believes that being transgender is a gift from God." You are sick.
You ain't read the Bible yet, have you, kid?
Okay, why would God put you in the wrong body and then call it a gift? That's nuts. A truly wonderful gift that needs to be shared and not hidden. No. Being insane is not a gift. It is an illness, and there is treatment. You can get help. Anyways, it goes on to for a whole bunch of their excuses, along with the ask, don't guess policy, so that you can make sure that you can get these sickos' pronouns correct. These people are disgusting. I'm so glad this month is over.
Now the real pride happens, the pride in being an American.
Yeah, well,
which
not with
feeds
what
into
we
what
have
we're
in,
about to talk about.
Not with what we have in office.
Yeah, whatever.
He
doesn't matter.
Let us take another sip of this amazing wine.
It is really good wine.
Those of us who are sipping and not guzzling like
Yeah, I was chugging and I'm a little lightheaded. Sorry.
It's just hard when you have a head that big for it to be light.
I love you, but I don't like you. Okay.
Here on Counterculture Wise, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the wonderfuller.
I'm going to let the veteran take this one.
All right, folks. Now, there's a lot of stories that are on the internet, which means you can't believe them, about about the lives of many of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. Like this one was hung, or this one was shot, or this one was whatever. So this is the straight story about about the signers of the Declaration of Independence. This is written by Matthew Spalding, and I'd like to share it with you. It's almost July 4th, and you know what that means. It won't be long before you're reading an email telling you all about the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. Trouble is, much of the information flying around the internet isn't reliable. Big surprise. Just ask Boston Globe columnist Jeff Jacoby, suspended last year by his bosses for a column on the signers, the gist of which had been zipping around on the internet. So for the record, here's a portrait of the men who pledged our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor for liberty 225 years ago, in 1776 anyway. 56 men from each of the original 13 colonies signed the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. 9 of the signers were immigrants. 2 were brothers, and 2 were cousins. 1 was an orphan. The average age of the signer was 45. Benjamin Franklin was the oldest delegate at 70. The youngest was Thomas Lynch, Jr. of South Carolina at 27. 18 of the signers were merchants or businessmen. 14 were farmers, and 4 were doctors. 22 were lawyers, although William Hooper of North Carolina was disbarred when he spoke out against the king, and 9 were judges. Stephen Hopkins had been governor of Rhode Island. 42 signers had served in their colonial legislatures. John Witherspoon of New Jersey was the only active clergyman to attend. Indeed, he wore his pontificals to the sessions. Almost all were Protestants. Charles Carroll of Maryland was the lone Roman Catholic. 7 of the signers were educated at Harvard, 4 at Yale, 4 at William and Mary, and 3 at Princeton. Witherspoon was the president of Princeton, and George Wythe was a professor at William and Mary. His students included Declaration scribe Thomas Jefferson. 17 signers fought in the American Revolution. Thomas Nelson was a colonel in the 2nd Virginia Regiment and then commanded Virginia military forces at the Battle of Yorktown. William Whipple served with the New Hampshire militia and was a commanding officer in the decisive Saratoga campaign. Oliver Wolcott led the Connecticut regiment sent for the defense of New York and commanded a brigade of militia that took part in the defeat of General Burgoyne. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Caesar Rodney was a major general in the Delaware militia. John Hancock held the same rank in the Massachusetts militia. The British captured...
Plus he had great penmanship.
Yeah, he had great penmanship. Most of us know the story about his gigantic signature on the Declaration. Let's see. The British captured 5 signers during the war. Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward, and Arthur Middleton were captured at the Battle of Charleston in 1780. George Walton was wounded and captured at the Battle of Savannah. Richard Stockton of New Jersey never recovered from his incarceration at the hands of British loyalists. He died in 1781. Thomas McKean of Delaware wrote John Adams that he was hunted like a fox by the enemy, compelled to remove my family 5 times in a few months. Abraham Clark of New Jersey had 2 of his sons captured by the British during the war. 11 signers had their homes and Okay, let's try that again. It was written in a way that Melanie would protest. 11 signers had their homes, property destroyed. Francis Lewis's New York home was razed and his wife taken prisoner. John Hart's farm and mills were destroyed when the British invaded New Jersey, and he died while fleeing capture. Carter Braxton and Nelson, both of Virginia, lent large sums of their personal fortunes to support the war effort, but were never repaid. 15 of the signers participated in their state's constitutional conventions, and 6, Roger Sherman, Robert Morris, Franklin, George Clymer, James Wilson, and George Reed, signed the U.S. Constitution.
Wow.
After the Revolution, 13 signers went on to become governors. 18 served in their state legislatures. 16 became state and federal judges. 7 became members of the U.S. House of Representatives. 6 became senators. James Wilson and Samuel Chase became Supreme Court justices. Jefferson, Adams, and Elbridge Gerry each became vice president. Adams and Jefferson later became president. 5 signers...
Did you ever see that series about John Adams?
No.
Highly recommend it.
I will watch it. 5 signers played major roles in the establishment of colleges and universities. Franklin and the University of Pennsylvania, Jefferson and the University of Virginia, Benjamin Rush and Dickinson College, Lewis Morris and New York University, and George Walton and the University of Georgia. Adams, Jefferson, and Carroll were the longest surviving signers. Adams and Jefferson both died on July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
I remember reading that.
Yeah, I read that.
Odds.
There was this biography of Thomas Jefferson that Sam gave me to read.
Yeah.
And it was...
Sam's the one who turned me on to the Adams documentary.
The Adams Family. Click, click. Carroll was one of the last... Okay, let me try it again. Carroll was the last signer to die in 1832 at the age of 95. Thankfully, their ideas live on. So, Melanie, do you really want me to read the document that made this nation possible?
Yes, I do, because I think we have completely forgotten what it is.
This may run our show a little long, but this is the one time I really don't care. Here we go. This is from the National Archives.
You start crying, I'll pick it up.
Please do.
Oh, and do remember, it's from the National Archives and has been marked as controversial.
Yeah, I know. There's a few references to our Native American friends, I think, in this declaration that is controversial. Let it go. Let it go. This is far too important to be caught up in trivialities. The unanimous declaration of the in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
In other words, an insurrection.
Yeah, one of them. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Now, this is really interesting, the way he wrote this, and I've had to study this for English classes using parallels, and how he, the preamble basically says this is what we are trying to get away from, and then stating all the things that the king did that led to this, and having to go through this step by step with, appeal to ego, appeal to, it's actually, if you take the time to study this, this is masterfully written.
Thomas Jefferson and anybody who may have helped him write this, absolute geniuses, and they made the case. They didn't, it actually said, if this were light, stupid stuff, we wouldn't worry about it. But this is like
and
threatening to our freedom, threatening to our way of life.
And not the biggest problem that they had, which led to the Boston Tea Party, was you want us to pay you taxes for all the benefits that we do not receive. And that's kind of where we're at now. We have to pay a ridiculous amount of taxes and we're not being represented, and we're not receiving the benefits of those taxes.
Well, that's one of the reasons I felt it important to read this.
All right, so let's listen to all the grievances that the king was imposing upon the colonists.
This was insane.
And imagine, if you will, or at least link, if you will, how many of these are happening today.
Right.
Because our own government has
Turned against us.
Has turned against us.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation until his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them.
So when they say his governors, they literally shipped foreign governors over to govern the colonists who are completely separate from an entire continent.
And then he wouldn't do anything to whatever they proposed.
No.
He would just sit there. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures.
Like filing in New York City when you know the person lives in Florida. Just putting that out there.
Just putting that out there. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
And you get banned off of all media if you mention it.
Yeah. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. In other words, he still wants to keep the legal powers to himself, even though he's literally a continent away.
Yeah.
He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries.
Golly, that doesn't sound familiar at all.
Despotism, plain and simple. I'm getting angry. You can tell by the tone of my voice.
Well, and the reason you're getting angry is because we're seeing this happening today.
I know. Plus, it still angers me that he was doing all these things that triggered this in the first place, but it had to happen.
But back then we had brave men and women who would stand up against him, and today we have a bunch of people writing on Twitter.
You and I stand up against it anyway. He has kept among us... Wait a minute. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance.
80,000 new IRS agents, ladies and gentlemen, armed.
He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. I can say that now they're sending funds and soldiers over to foreign nations without the consent of the... Without the consent... I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you because I'm pissed. Without the consent of the government. In other words, nobody asked us if we wanted to go into Ukraine.
Nope.
Nobody asked us if we wanted to go into Iran or Iraq.
Nope.
Nobody asked us this. They just went and did it.
Yep.
Whew. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Never a good idea.
Nope.
That leads to third nation stuff.
That is why the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment.
That's true. That came later, but it's very important. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation.
Now he's going to list some of these.
For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us.
That is one of the amendments.
For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment from any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. That happens all the time in our government. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. Okay, this is my stance, being a pro-life libertarian. Trade with whoever you want. We don't want entangling agreements with countries who hate our guts or anything that's going to cause us to lose our sovereignty. Okay. Continue, Monas. Here we go. For cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent.
So that's why
Hoo
taxation
boy.
without representation is specifically mentioned.
Yeah. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury.
We weren't
Amen
even
to that.
allowed to have our own judges.
For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. That doesn't really happen much these days.
I don't know.
I'm saying not much these days. It happens. For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. We believe in states' rights for a reason. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. We are currently letting another country largely affect and influence our economy and our politics.
Because they own the so-called leader.
Yeah. That, and they own our main branches of communication, which is the internet and social media.
And they own King Brandon.
Right. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. That happens all the time. Federal law is being used to usurp state laws.
Yeah, and the liberals love that, and that's why when
modern liberals. Let me clarify a little
not
bit.
Not real liberals.
Not real liberals.
Yeah, because
the
this
modern
country
left.
was founded on liberal principles. But
absolutely.
You look at, hey, abortion should not be federally mandated. Oh my God, you're taking away my constitutional right. No, that has nothing to do with the Constitution. You being able to murder your child, kick it down to the states. Whatever. I personally, I believe it should be outlawed, period, but overall, kick it down to the states.
That's what it is. It should be a states' rights issue, just like most issues.
COVID should, and they're still mad at Trump for following the Constitution during COVID.
Shame on him. Anyway.
But everything else that's been going on, I mean, every single decision that the current SCOTUS has made is based on the Constitution, and
which is a relief.
Really
it's a
pissing
relief.
off the new liberals because they don't understand it.
For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
Which is what they want. They want that.
He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. I sometimes feel like our government is at war against us right now.
That's why they want to take our guns away. That's why they are anti-2A.
Well, yeah. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
Plus, they're all pooping in the streets.
Well, yeah. He has, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries, Muslims, illegal aliens, to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands.
Now,
That's
this technically isn't happening right now, but
No.
it is just around the corner.
Yeah. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers. Okay, this is the part where it gets controversial. The merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions.
It's not
I
untrue.
repudiate that part.
No, it's not untrue. Anybody
Yeah.
who actually knows what it was like before, these were tribes that hunted, enslaved each other, mutilated each other, raped each other. This whole, paint the colors of the wind nonsense didn't exist.
That's true. We have to take it in historical context. I mean, I certainly don't
They
feel
hadn't
feel
even
that way about
invented
them.
the wheel, for God's sake.
I know. You've said that you've said that on every episode of our show. I get
have
it.
not.
It's fine. I'm just saying, that doesn't. It doesn't
And remember,
reflect.
I'm the barefoot horseback riding braids wearing.
Nah, true.
Okay.
True. Anyway, boop 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 boop.
In every stage of these oppressions.
Thank you. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms.
What's really funny is looking at the random capitalization. It looks very Trump tweetian.
Yeah, I know. It was intentional, but anyway. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of free people.
That includes you, Brandon.
Yeah. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. By the way, that's the attitude we have taken for a couple of centuries now. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Burton Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, John Penn, Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton, John Hancock, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll, George Wythe, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, Carter Braxton, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, George Ross, Caesar Rodney, George Reed, Thomas McKean, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, Lewis Morris, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, Abraham Clark, Josiah Bartlett, William Whipple, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Payne, Elbridge Jerry, Stephen Hopkins, William Ellery, Roger Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, Oliver Wolcott, and Matthew Thornton. Heroes, every single one. Thank you and good night.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed in the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Counterculture-Wise is a Stormcat production.
Thank you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, counterculturewise.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on BitChute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, "Be a guest on our show."
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.